I rely on something into something a pushy passion. Any style. A petty vibe. Ne flavor. Ivala ezi. It turn up. Something is manje.
DANUP is a deliciously filling 2-in-1 blend. The perfect hunger satisfaction drink that keeps you fuller for longer.
With it, I stay winning.
When you need relief from pain that keeps working without having to reapply, try Transact patches. Transact lasts up to 2 times longer than gels. Stop at nothing.
Pundits seem to be split as the trial of Malcolm Miller comes to a close. As you all know, Malcolm Miller is accused of the kidnapping and murder of Nicholas Bennett.
I will be sequestering the 12 of you to a hotel for the remainder of the deliberations. Either find Malcolm Miller innocent or guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Godspeed, and may justice be served.
A compelling 2-part courtroom drama. 12 jurors, 1 suspect, 1 lawyer.
Find what you're looking for?
1 decision. Sequestered, Saturday, 9 o'clock.
With so much corroborating evidence, they finally arrest Eric Windhurst. But Jeffrey Strelzin has no misgivings about going after Eric Windhurst.
You can't have a system where somebody gets to decide, you know what, I'm not happy with what that person did, I'm going to decide what punishment they get.
What kind of a society we become if we decide to conclude that person A or person Z deserve to die? It's not for us to decide that. It's for a court and it's for God to decide that.
What also quickly becomes obvious is that lots of people had known what Eric had done, but said nothing.
Everybody was keeping Eric's secret, all of his friends. A lot of people in town knew about it. And over the years, Eric told more and more people about what he did. And they all knew, but none of them told. They all became part of Eric's conspiracy to keep quiet.
Staring down a possible conviction for first-degree murder, Eric negotiates a plea for the lesser charge of second-degree murder. Just a short time later, Melanie pleads guilty to the felony charge of hindering apprehension. Tensions run high in the court.
Danny may have done a lot of things that hurt me, but he didn't deserve to die that way.
Melanie finally tells the truth about what happened that November day, almost 20 years earlier.
Eric?
What's going on?
I have to tell you something.
A few weeks before the murder, she had confessed to Eric about the sexual abuse she had suffered at the hands of Danny Paquette.
My dad, he did bad things to me.
She added that she was terrified for her life if he found out she was back in New Hampshire.
She said that Eric then said to her, "Do you want me to take care of the..."
It's not doctor.
I mean, if it's okay, I guess. I mean, we can't discriminate. But I'm just saying, as long as you get it checked out, please, and make sure you don't. Because I think sometimes we put off things aside.
Exactly. I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
And it could be serious. But we have doctors, of course, a panel of experts. They are experts in this field, and they deal a lot with health-related issues and some rare disease cases. We, of course, Dr. Robert Leibrandt and Dr. Fazana Mohammed joining us today just to talk about our topic today. So thank you so much for joining us and coming out of your busy schedules to talking about this. But let's talk about rare disease and how common it is in South Africa. Let's look at perhaps even the cases that we have in South Africans, or even particularly amongst young South Africans.
Okay, so I mean, South Africa per se, I mean, we might think that we might be behind in a lot of the medical stuff, but we're actually not. We see a lot of pathology. And I think because of the vast number of people that we have and the diversity, we actually see a lot of the rare diseases. So, for instance, Oncomyces disease, progeria, very rare, 1 in 4 million incidents. I've actually ever only seen one, my colleague as well. We were both actually fortunate enough to actually meet her. So, very rare disease, but obviously I think the biggest thing is to create awareness. Creating awareness for the public with regards to all these rare diseases will help us obviously diagnose more, manage them appropriately, and obviously better research as well. So that's the most important.
Dr. Robert, but I mean, I think my advice would be, if any parent is worried about their child in any way, is worried about the child developing slower than other children or not being able to do certain things that they might seem normal, I think the first port of call would be to go to a general practitioner or to whichever doctor would be treating. And I mean, very good referral system in the country that you can get to specialists, and you know, often if doctors don't know what the condition is, we refer on to higher levels of care, and then the diagnosis does get made.
Let's look at the issue of Ontlamesi, progeria. Is there anything that maybe from now going to the next 20 years that can be done?
Yes, well, she was. I mean, from a progeria point of view, Ontlamesi was only the
involved in violent acts like that. So
things about it. We need collaboration between all countries around the world, with all, in order to learn more about the patients. And the Progeria Research Foundation doing fantastic work on that. She was part of a clinical trial, as you mentioned. She was going to America quite regularly for her treatment, and. You know, the treatment that she was on has been showing quite good improvements and progress.
And Dr. Fazana, I mean, you mentioned you know, access, or rather progress that we've made in access to, you know, healthcare systems, you know, for rare diseases. But let's talk about medical costs and medical aids and how some of them maybe don't even cover you know, certain rare diseases or as urgently as you would need. Because I know even right now, if you have maybe a flu or you just want to consult, they would want cash, then you claim later with your medical aid. Let's talk about costs.
I mean, so costs, I mean, that's definitely a huge factor that plays a role with regards to diagnosis and management of rare conditions. Of course, there are research foundations, there are trials, there are clinical trials that are sponsored by companies. For instance, the drug that was being used on Ontlamesi was sponsored, obviously, and she was going to America by the Progeria Research Foundation, where candidates from 30 different countries across the world go on. So there's definitely hope in that. Fine if medical costs and medical aids can't cover it, or we have financial burden and cost restraints within the public sector, it still can be covered. But we might forget about all of that, and as doctors also push for the medical therapy, but don't forget the supportive therapy, and I think that's the most important, and there's no cost with regards to that. I mean, that you can support in counseling, support from friends, support from support groups, that's important, and that you can't put a price on.
And also, Titimba was here as well as Dr. Babala. They were saying all things positive about Ontlamesi, even Tipsa as well. How was she as a patient? Was she always that bubbly and positive?
So I've had the opportunity to meet her once, once, and just from that one meeting, I could say she was amazing. I mean, that positive energy comes through immediately as soon as you see her. She might have looked like an adolescent or a child, but her maturity, you could see just from her speaking. She was so mature, so positive. She knew more about her condition than probably we did. And that just shows, I mean, she was just wanting to educate others.
Say that there's one of Ontlamesi's doctors, it was probably her leading doctor while in South Africa was Dr. Engela Honey, who's a clinical geneticist and pediatrician at Steve. She couldn't be here today, but I mean, she's done a lot of work, and I've had the chance of speaking to her as well regarding her care and how we coordinated. And she's been doing a lot of work in a lot of other rare diseases too in order to raise awareness. I think the limitation that we've had before, and I think every country suffers from this, is when you have a rare disease and you're trying to promote it, you need money to do that. And we've got a lot of other diseases that are a lot more common that we still need to raise awareness for as well. But definitely, I agree with you. I think awareness on these things, things like Progeria Day or Rare Diseases Week, which we have at some of the government hospitals, raises awareness and more importantly raises funds from a lot of external funders, so that we can do more research and that we can help these patients better.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robert, for that information. And on that note, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we put the spotlight on other rare diseases young South Africans face with daily, and about to educate about how they get by and what they want you to know so you can make, of course, their load lighter, and how exactly their families are also handling it. We'll be right back.
It can happen to all of us, yet most South Africans will need a help plan. its non-medical expense cover as a result of hospitalization. Clientele's new health plans can be an affordable alternative. Health plans pay up to 200,000 Rand cash per year. Cash to use as you wish. You can use it to bridge the income gap if you cannot work at this time, pay for additional expenses, or spoil yourself. Important, if you choose the ultimate health plan, you can get all your premiums back. Yes, all your money back on top of your cover amount. In the unfortunate event of death, your family will receive all your premiums back. Or choose to get 50% of your premiums back at age 65 to enjoy during your retirement years, and the balance upon death. So why is it called the Clientele?
Welcome back, Liberty Daily Tet. And we're putting the spotlight on rare diseases in South Africa, and also, engagingly young South Africans rare diseases to educate us, and of course, you just to give us a little peek into a life on the day-to-day challenges they face. And I think most importantly, we need to be educated. How do we assist where we can? Family, society, community members, corporates, government, and that's the reason and point why we're having this show. So make sure you just give us a little peek into a live pages on the day-to-day challenges
and then into Dumasmene Sibheka as well ukuthi njengomphakathi singazitholi sesibazwela
how do we assist where we can? Family, society, community members, corporates.
Badila kanjani nomuntu ngasonke isikhathi just because find out about i-disease onayo and ngasonke isikhathi se-treat special than abanye abantu esingathi nje wena
government, and that's the reason and we have pages, family, society.
Benefits is HACO on a pulmonary hypertension, which is HP, as well as Valentino Mabaso on a chronic skin disorder abizwa ngokuthi atopic dermatitis. Sinimukele kwi-Daily Theatre, sinimukele bosisi.
Thank you for having us.
Cool. Angiqale ngawe Valentino. Isifo sakho mawungasichaza ukuthi sime njani Valentine.
Yes, Valentine. What I have is atopic dermatitis. I was diagnosed with it when I was about 14. It's a challenge living with it because it limits you to a certain level. I got it when I was still a teenager, so it actually attacked me when I was actually going into a very important phase of my life. When you're a teenager, you wanna dress in the shorts and everything like that. So I had to learn to adapt to actually covering up all the time. I was made fun of actually in high school by my classmates and people in the community as well. I was given nicknames as well. Even now, I have this platform that I use to
to educate people about my condition. So they call me .com because my skin has those dots all over. So I just it has been difficult, but I've learned to live with it. I wish I started earlier, but yeah, you just learn to accept and you educate others as well because you're definitely not alone.
Yeah.
So,
And you have pulmonary hypertension. Please take us through o diagnose training and iminang for bophelo ba gago, and is it fate, is it for life or mohlomongwe temporary?
Ke botlhoko bo ba attackang di-lungs tsa gago le pelo, like go na le high blood pressure ko di-lungs tsa gago, so the main arteries tsa the lungs they weaken.
And iminang for bophelo ba gago, and is it fate, is it for life or mohlomongwe temporary?
And then the right side ya pelo le yona it was affected the timing. Ke botlhoko bo ba attackang di-lungs tsa gago le pelo, so like go na le high blood pressure ko di-lungs tsa gago, so the main arteries tsa the lungs. From my mom at first I didn't want to accept it. I suffered depression, but at some point and then the right side ya pelo